So how do you get started? So this question was recently asked to me in like my last video. So I wanted to take this video to kind of explain to you the process of what we're actually doing. And I want to tell you that this is going to be different than any other journey that you've taken, mainly because you have to take a whole different approach than what you normally take. So simply put, the way that you get started is simply with silence. And this may seem a little bit too easy to believe that silence is going to get you everything that you wanted, but in all actuality, it's really that simple. So let me break it down a little bit further. So in silence, that's a commodity in these days that we don't get very often. And since we don't get it, like let me ask you this. So in a regular day, like when you get up, when you set your alarm clock, how much time do you have from the time that you get up to the time that you leave and then you let the day take you on until you come home? So in most of our lives and most of our routines that you would usually get like 30 minutes or so, like you may be a little bit different, but most of the time it's not a lot of time. And that is actually the key to where you can start to change your life with that silence. And this silence is going to be something that's required. It's very uncomfortable in the beginning, but it's required mainly because we are so consumed with electronics and things like that that we don't even know or we can't even hear our own voice anymore. We always hear the demands of the day. We hear our alarm telling us we need to get up. We start our car telling us we need to go. We go to meetings all day. We go to our work and we're preoccupied with something all day. And that leaves no room to even know what you want and all that. So my thing is if you want to change your life and you want to change it permanently, you have to take a bit of silence. And the challenge for you this week is take it one time, 30 minutes. Maybe just be on the weekend, but you can actually do that today. At any moment in time, you can take a lunch break and do it, but you need at least 30 minutes. And what you're going to do in these 30 minutes is you're going to start to write. You're going to start to write out what your day looks like. You're going to write out what you do getting up in the day, when you get up during the day, or what you eat, what you drink, if you move, if you don't move. You're going to write down all these things. Some truths are comfortable, some are not, because this is the foundation of how you start to unravel your puzzle. And this leads into the reason why I don't like plans is because all of them give you a point A where you are now and a point B where you want to be. And the thing that we're missing here is that all from point A to point B, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're missing. So you have how I feel now to where I'm going to be when I reach the point B. I'm going to have a six pack abs shredded in 6 weeks or less, and it costs you a couple $1,000s. That is great. But the thing is, it's not sustainable because you forced your life to fit within this mold that was pre-planned, and thousands and thousands and thousands of other people have done it too, and they will continue to do it. Like, haven't you noticed that there are just thousands of influencers out there touting their plan about how they do things differently and what you can get in 5 weeks versus 4 weeks, and you don't have to do anything, and it's so easy, but it's not easy because it's easy to take your mind out of the whole situation. Your mind is what's going to make it last. And this is something that I discovered over a kind of a long period of time, because once you start getting things in life, once you start settling down and moving slower and not, participating in sports, and you're more family focused, you don't have that time to do things over a long period of time that way. So these plans are really convenient for that. So because you know exactly what you're going to get, even though once that plan is over, you say, all right, I got it. I got it now. I got it. And then put the plan away and you inevitably go back to where you started. So the first thing you have to do, once again, is you need to take some silence and you need to write. And this is going to be a very important part because you need to be honest with yourself. So just like me, like when I was starting to write write what I ate during the day, there was one day that I love sun chips. So there was one day I ate a whole bag of sun chips in one day. Now, these are the things that you have to be honest with yourself about. Like I love food, but I know that at this moment in time that's not going to benefit me very much. So you have to say that you can't sugarcoat with yourself because you know the truth. And if you can't be honest with yourself now, you won't be honest with yourself later. Be honest now, look at it, go through the pain, then move on. But what this does is it shows you a lot of different things that pose room for improvement. So in this busy world of ours, silence is going to be your first thing to unlocking a life that you never thought possible, mainly because while we normally go to plans and because it goes straight from A to B, no thinking about it, that whole time you're supposed to be walking down memory lane and going through and seeing like, okay, I remember when this happened. I started doing this thing. Or I remember I used to not even like that. Now I have it all the time. It's these real subtle things. And the whole thing is like we've kind of grown detached from like listening to ourselves. There's a lot of them that we say in everyday life that we don't even realize, such as like, man, when I have that, man, for some reason it make my stomach hurt. Or when I drink a little bit too much of that, man, I be burping all day or doing, it's just stuff like that, stuff that you normally say in casual conversation. That is actually what you're supposed to be listening to because it's your body telling you, I don't like that. But we've grown used to stuffing faster than we can actually think about what we're saying. And in turn, we miss all those little tiny subtle messages that tell us like what exactly we're supposed to be doing at the time. So taking a trip down memory lane is your first approach of action, mainly because if you are not happy with the body that you have at this moment in time, that doesn't mean that it happened overnight. There was a journey to get to this point. There was a start where something as simple as a snack in the middle of the day turned into something that you have to have on this particular day at this particular time. There's a lot of those sprinkled throughout our lives, and it takes a little bit of effort to uncover all those things. And I'll leave you with this for an example. So when I started my journey, I was, over a little bit over 280 pounds. And this was after I had went to my yearly physical, and they told me that I had stage 3 kidney disease. Now, this did a couple of things to me. It made life flash before my eyes, and then it also made me go back and slow it down and see that life. And then when I started reviewing that life, then I noticed that there were a lot of things that I did wrong leading up to that point. And this was actually on my way to having lunch. Now, short story, I used to, like in my old job, I used to every Friday go to this Mexican spot and have what they call like a Friday special. It was like two tacos, some tater tots, and a fountain drink. And I did this religiously every single week for about 3 years. Well, within year two, not only did one of my coworkers leave, but the other one decided that he didn't like it anymore. So I was taking this time to go to this place by myself religiously without thinking about it every single week. And I knew what would happen to me, even though even when I went there, I'd eat because it was so good and I eat it fast. And then no more than 20 or 30 minutes, I started to get a little tired and I started to get a little lazy. I'm like, man, it's Friday. I don't feel like being here. I can't even focus no more. And I did this and still did it anyway, every single week for 3 years. And this was after my diagnosis. And I was like, started to think about it. And like, it turned out to be like a false diagnosis. So I don't have that or anything, but it was enough of a wake up call to get me thinking. And I thought about that. I'm like, I've been doing this for 3 years. Nobody's here with me. I just been instinctually going and coming back and eating my food at my desk and not even thinking about the repercussions of it. I know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to make me sleepy. I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm not going to go work out. I know exactly what's going to happen. The same thing that happened the Friday before. And then this was one of the first things that I decided to change. In the middle of that parking lot, when I was walking down through the parking lot to go there, I decided I'm not going to do that. And that particular day, I think I went to Whole Foods or something to get like a box of food. But it was the first time that I realized that, you know, our mind likes to play tricks on us. It likes everything to be as seamless as possible. It doesn't like to think very much. It wants to make everything a nice, natural, flowing experience. So disrupting that would be doing something different. And that's why making these changes is so hard, because we're going to be disrupting a lot of those things that we've been doing without even thinking about them over the last 1, 5, 10 years, things like that. These happen over a stretched out period of time. And it's going to take a lot of deliberate effort in your silence to start writing this stuff down and breaking it into pieces that you can actually start taking action on. So I hope that that makes sense. This is going to be a journey like no other. I promise you that the deeper that you go into, thinking about your actions and thinking about the things that you do on a daily basis, you're going to start seeing things change drastically the more you start to lean into it. So I hope that that answered your question. And if anyone has any more questions about, how to get started or what kind of tools that you use or anything like this, just feel free to drop them in the comments and I got you covered. So that's going to be it for me today. Talk to you guys later. Peace.